House Stories. My name's Bob and this is Doug, and we tell stories about the fire department and people that work in the fire department. Today we got a couple of good stories. I'm sort of going to focus on the dormitory because, we do go in and have naps. We may doze, but we never close.
That's good.
Is it? I've heard that before. But
That's awful.
But the dormitory was a prime time to pull some tricks if you had to. So we had this one fella that came in and just started, right? And this guy, we used to call him Scrappy Doo because he was, come on, and right, Kirk, right?
Yeah.
And so I brought in a tape deck. That's back in the day when they had cassette reels.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, you're eating yourself, Bob.
Yeah, I know. And we put the tape like halfway through, about 30 minutes through the tape, and then when an alarm came in, we taped the alarm, right? But before the alarm, there's nothing on the tape whatsoever. Okay, so I put this tape in this cassette recorder, and then I crawled underneath his bed, and I I wired it to the spring so it was hanging down underneath.
That's a lot of work.
I know, but we did that sort of thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And and then just before we going to bed, he was going to bed, and somebody was going to delay him for just a little bit. As I went under his bed and pressed the play button. Right, so we all go to bed and we're all laying there and we're expecting this to happen. Everybody knows it's going to happen except for Kurt, right? And we're laying there, and all of a sudden the lights come on and the alarm goes off, and it was a real alarm. It was an alarm, and partway through, like, the alarm would go off, and then they would come in and tell you what the information was for the alarm. Well, partway through the information, the alarm, the other one went off underneath Kurt's bed, right? But the first one that went off, talk about confusion. I had to get up and say, "No, this is real. This is a real one. This is real." And we got up and went, right? But other things we do in the dorm would be fun is we had these gray army blankets.
Yeah.
They were like wool. They were gray. Heavy duty. And one guy went to bed one night, and we decided that we'd see how many of these blankets we could fit over top of him. So he went to bed. And there's four of us, and we go back and we get one of the blankets and we put it on really from his feet right down to his head really gently, and then put another one on. And I think we got something like 15 or 16 blankets on. Well, he woke up and he was like this. He couldn't move.
Oh, yeah.
All the weight on him. But fun in the dorms didn't just start when we were on. My father tells a story when he was a firefighter, and this would have been in the 50s, where they had hired a new guy on, and this guy was quite big. I think he had political pull to get on, but he was like over 300 pounds. And they had some guys that weren't so big there, and they had one guy they used to call Mighty, because it was Mighty Mite. There was a cartoon back then, right?
Yep.
And that's what this guy was, Mighty, and Scrapper. But he was really short, like 5'2" or 5'3", and maybe no, that's not the 300 pound guy.
Oh, okay.
This is the other firefighter. Maybe he would have weighed 110 pounds or 115 pounds. So back then they had the bell room in the station. So the alarms would come in a call box, and it would come into the station, and there'd be somebody up at the station, and they would look at the alarms as they come in, and then they would set the buzzer, and they would send everybody out to where they needed to go. And that's how it was. So what they did was, after they went to sleep, they crawled and they switched pants from these two guys beside their beds. So this big guy with with the 52-inch waist, and he had the small guy with a 24-inch waist. And then they had a guy put in an alarm. they all stood back and watched him try to get dressed. Yeah, he described that quite well, actually.
The big guy would be ripping the thing to try to
Oh
get
my
it on.
gosh, yeah, he fell. He actually fell.
Oh yeah,
trying
he
to,
would.
yeah.
The other guy, yeah,
was trying to grab on him, wondering what's happening.
we had a big guy in our station one time, and he was trying to lose weight. And he was just bragging about how much weight he'd lost. And I don't know how he figured he lost the weight, but he didn't. Trust me. If anything, put it on. Anyhow, he was bragging about all the weight he lost. Well, what we did just before we went in the dorm just before bedtime, and we took his bed apart. It was old steel army beds. We took them apart, took the hooks off the headboard.
Well, they would hook in like this, right?
Yep. And the weight would, the person would keep them. Well, we took them off. We took butcher twine, and we tied it all together with butcher twine. So when everybody got into the dorm and he'd be up brushing his teeth, getting ready for the sack, he came in and we're all watching him. He got in that bed and that bed fell apart. It hit the floor. Bang! Jesus Christ, I tell you, the funniest goddamn thing I ever seen in my life.
It was funny, like in the dorm at downtown, there was like a wall down the middle, and the beds were heads were against the center wall, and then on the outside walls, heads were, so there was 2 rows on each side of the wall. So I had this squirt gun, and I filled it up with warm water and went to bed, and as soon as the guy across from me went to bed, it was Gary Weiss. This guy ended up to be the fire chief. He'd go to bed, and I'd go, achoo! And I'd squirt, right? And if he didn't say anything, I'd wait a little while and I'd do it again until I finally got the range. Jesus Christ, Hanson!
It's funny. Priceless.
My gosh, yeah, we had some times around the fires and the dorms. The dorms seemed to be the hotbed for all sorts of things.
Because it was dark and
quiet.
Quiet. Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening to us this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please press the enjoy button or the like button. And we post every Friday, so if you'd like us to come to your mailbox automatically, press the follow button, and we'll see you on Fridays. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you next Friday.